Welcome to the Bucket List Buster Travel Show. Your Bucket List Buster Travel Show helps you make your bucket list dreams come true. Host Karen Duncan spent decades running the travel business. She, along with other industry experts, share their knowledge, travel stories, and wisdom about how to travel, where to travel, and how to have a stress-free adventure. Tune in, give yourself permission to focus on yourself, create lifelong memories with families and friends, and finally learn to relax, rejuvenate, and reconnect. And here's the host of your show, Karen Duncan.
Aloha, buenos dias, ni hao, yahate, bula, guten tag, bonjour, jumbo, boa tarde, everything's Irie, and good afternoon. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Hello, Karen Duncan here, your bucket list buster and your host for the day. Sorry I have been away for so long, and I know we all are going through some stuff, aren't we? I had said that I was going to be doing weekly podcasts, but it's been a little difficult being motivated with all that's going on. So we'll see how it goes today, and hopefully I'll get some feedback from you guys. Got a lot of information for you. We are talking about dreaming of beyond, and I'm going to be giving you updates on information that I'm receiving as part of the travel and tourism industry on what's going on, how to decipher what's going on in the travel industry, what destinations are opening, what the cruise lines are doing, what the airlines are doing, so on and so forth. And hopefully I can help you get to a point where you feel safe and comfortable moving around and traveling. If only domestically at first, that's fine. And then as the international destinations open up, you will feel comfortable going back out there, because travel is what we need for our souls, people. We cannot let this pandemic decide that we're going to be housebound for the rest of our lives. So people that are listening or have listened to the show, I am Karen Duncan. I am a 25-year travel agency owner. My husband and I own Peaks Cruises and Tours, and we moved to Panama 2 years ago exactly. And so we are living in San Carlos, Panama currently, and we are still running our travel agency, and we are still helping people find their dream vacations. A lot of people have canceled this year, bless their hearts. We had a big Alaskan cruise coming up next month that we've had to put off, and I'm so disappointed for some of our folks. We had a mix of people, middle-aged to seniors, I will say, and a couple of our young ladies that were going are in their 80s. And one of them's husband had been stationed in Alaska years ago, and she had been dreaming of cruising to Alaska for years, and she was so excited. So she was reading everything she could get her hands on. She had finally made the decision to do this with her friends, and we've had to postpone it. So I'm so disappointed for her, because she was one of the ones I was really looking forward to seeing have that experience. Nothing makes my soul brighter than when we get an opportunity to see someone do something that they've dreamed about for all their lives. And for them to have that experience, to see their faces, and for them to just have those experiences. And we were planning some group excursions and stuff, so she felt comfortable. It was going to be her first cruise. And so it's really kind of disappointing for some folks. We've got one destination wedding that is still trying to happen. It was set for the end of June, and they've rescheduled it for August. And we're surely hoping that bride and groom and all of their wedding party get an opportunity to get to Jamaica. Jamaica's going to be open, and the resort that they're going to is going to be open. So it's just a matter of people feeling comfortable and safe to go ahead and move forward. It's here. The pandemic is here. It's going to be here. It's going to be here. That's the thing that we've got to get in our minds. It's going to be here like the flu has been here for forever. The difference with this one is we don't quite understand it. It kind of came upon us very quickly and unexpectedly without being prepared. But the first time the flu or influenza came about, which was many years ago, I'm pretty sure it was probably the same thing. The difference is we have television, we have radio, we have podcasts, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have all these media outlets where we can get an overabundance of information, and we don't know what information is right, what's the real truth. And so we're being inundated with all of this information as people are getting sick and dying from this dreadful illness. But it still hasn't hit the numbers that influenza hits on an annual basis, and we have to keep that in mind. I am not telling you that it's not serious. I am not telling you that. Don't get me wrong. Don't misunderstand me. It is serious. People's family members are dying, and it's really sad. But we have to find a way to live with this in a positive way, if at all. I always say there's blessings in adversity. There are things that are happening because we're staying at home that would not have happened if we were continuing to go in the direction we were going. The birds are happier. Mother Nature is happier. The sea and the ocean is clearing up. Countries and states where there was a lot of smog are clearing up. You can just feel the difference in the earth vibration that it's healthier. It's healthier because we have stayed home some. So it's going to change the way we live. It's going to change the way we move around. We're going to have more restrictions when we finally start traveling again. Just like after 9/11, people said, "Oh, nobody will ever travel if they got to take their clothes off and shoes and take everything out of their bags when they're going through security." But guess what, folks? We were traveling just fine, and so we'll probably be going through some things like that when we get back on the road. So let's take a look at where some people are listening from. I think this is really exciting for me. Well, it's exciting for me, and maybe exciting from you if you're in some of these destinations that are listening to your Bucket List Buster. So Panama is at the top of the list now. Thank you, Panama, for allowing us to move to your wonderful country. We love it here. We absolutely love it. I'm learning to speak some Spanish. Not quite fast enough. I know it's sad, but I'm getting there. The United States, Australia, Sweden, United Kingdom, Germany, and even Austria. I love Austria. Austria is one of the prettiest places I've ever been. In Australia, I'm coming in November. We had to reschedule our Alaska trip, so we have booked a cruise for November. And God willing, we will make our way to Australia. We will go to the South Pacific, meaning Papeete first, and do Fiji and American Samoa, and then head our way to Australia. So that's something we're looking forward to. Some of the places, some of the cities: Alpharetta, Georgia; Wichita Falls, Texas; Thornbury, Australia; Lexington, Kentucky; Tucson, Arizona; Seattle, Washington; Lund, Sweden; and Lockenfield, United Kingdom. I hope I said that right. I apologize. Ismaning, Germany, and others. So thank you for listening. I appreciate it, and I hope this show will be informative. So some of the things we're going to talk about today is the travel industry unemployment rate, what the cruise lines are doing, what the airlines are doing, destinations that are opening up and when, and much, much more. So let's get started with the show. Oh, some of the resources. We're going to talk about travel insurance and how travel insurance is effective or ineffective due to pandemic, the coronavirus, and what the TSA, what you can look forward to with the TSA if you're going to be traveling this year. So right now, the unemployment rate in the travel and tourism industry is at 51%. That means 51% of everyone that worked in that industry is unemployed. And I can tell you, as a member of the travel and tourism industry, a lot of travel agencies will not be able to come back. Some will not recover from this. It's really hard, especially for travel agents who have storefronts, and you have to continue to pay that rent. So, you know, I'm thinking about those folks. I've always been a home-based travel agency, so other than paying for my regular home expenses, I do have some agency expenses, but you know, we're just trying to suck it up and cut back where we can and keep on moving as we continue to go through this. And like I said, our business has gone down to I've got 2 items on the books. Well, a little more than 2 items. But this would have been the time of the year that we were swamped, balls to the walls, basically. With the groups that we had on the books, this is the time that people are booking their travel, summer travel, which usually picks up for our FIT or our individual travelers. Prior to this, we had a lot of groups on the books. And this was also the time that we started booking groups for next year. And none of that is happening right now. Absolutely none of it. Plus, you think about the fact that airlines are laying off or furloughing people. Hotels are furloughing employees. My son, who worked on cruise ships, his contract that he had is null and void, and they have made null and void his contract that he had moving forward. So we don't know what that's going to look like. You think about all the people that work in the cruise line industry who are not working. And some of these people, the international crew members that are still on these ships, some of them, because the borders were closed, so they couldn't get back home. And they're on these ships without being paid. The cruise lines aren't paying them, so they're stuck there. So that's a really big deal. And we have to think about ways to try and offset some of the funds that we're missing. Some people are getting unemployment, but if you're an international crew member and your government's not offering you those type of benefits, then the only upside of that are those folks are being fed. So we just have to keep those people in our prayers and think about them as we go along. So what are the airlines doing? Well, JetBlue blocks the middle seats in new safety programs. So they will extend through July the 4th on seat distancing by blocking the middle seats in rows where parties are not traveling together. The policy is part of the airline's multi-layer safety from the ground up program, and it is rolling out temperature monitoring for its flight and in-flight crew members and electrostatic aircraft fogging in June. So JetBlue was also one of the first airlines to mandate that both passengers and crew wear face masks. That's very important to know. It's good information to know as well. And I'm sure some of you have seen the United flight that was, fully booked or almost booked completely. Most of the airlines will not be doing that, and I'm sure United will not be doing that in addition as well. The airline does allow customers traveling together to sit in the middle and aisle seats if they would choose to. Delta Airlines revealed it would begin offering more international flights in June, including several to popular destinations like Cancun, Los Cabos, Mexico City, and Puerto Vallarta. There's an airline trade group that says 73% of flights are less than half full. And that is true. My daughter's a flight attendant, and before she took some of this time off that they offered her, she was seeing flights with one paying customer on it. The other were flight crews trying to get from one place to another. But a lot of people have stopped flying. Airlines will launch a Fly Healthy, Fly Smart awareness campaign, and it is going to be to educate travelers. It was ahead of the Memorial Weekend, but includes multimedia outreach showcasing the enhanced cleaning and procedural changes the U.S. airlines are implementing, as well as reminding the traveling public of steps that they need to take in order to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. So there are videos and blogs, and there's a webpage called airlinestakeaction.com that you can go to that tells you some of the things that the airlines are doing and what they're expecting. So they're requiring passengers and customer-facing employees to wear face coverings over their nose and mouth throughout the journey, check-in, boarding, and in-flight and deplaning. They're going to be using HEPA filters, HEPA. All the aircraft and airlines will be equipped with the HEPA filters, which help generate hospital-grade air quality. The CDC has said that because of how air circulates and is filtered on planes, most viruses and other germs do not spread easily on flights. At least that's what they tell us. Carriers have implemented a range of policies, including back-to-front boarding and adjusting food and beverage services to help allow for distancing between people. So some of the things they're doing is you can bring your own food. They will not be doing service. They will not be pouring drinks and that type of thing. So they're requiring and they're allowing you to bring your own food on board. And but you have to take your own trash. They will not be handling your trash. So anything that the airlines can do to keep us from touching, from their employees to touching anything after us, is what's going to be taking place right now. You can go to the CDC website and look at some of the requirements and policies being put in place for air travel. So there is an article by Joseph Allen called "Airplanes Don't Make You Sick, Really?" And he gets really technical about airplanes delivering 10 to 12 air changes per hour. In hospital isolation room, there's a minimum target of 6. So he really goes into detail about the air filters, isolation rooms, so on and so forth. And the filters are supposed to capture 99.97% of airborne particles. So we'll see. We'll see, that might be an article you want to read. You make your own judgment based on this information. And I always say, do your own research, people. Stop getting your news off of just Facebook or just CNN or just Fox or whoever it is that you're looking at. Do some research and find out information for yourself to figure out what's going to make you safe and what's going to make you comfortable. That's the real deal. It's what's going to make you comfortable in order for you to live your life like you want to live your life. So what are the cruise lines doing? Well, Royal Caribbean, their president of sales and trade support, Vicki Freed, said buffets will change but not go away entirely. So last week they came out and said that the buffets will probably go away completely. And then they backed up and said, well, maybe not completely. Everybody has this vision of all-inclusive resorts as well as cruise lines, people walking through the buffet lines and handling the tongs and forks and things, spoons to get their food. So what's probably going to happen now, it looks like, at least with Royal Caribbean, it says they will probably have their employees serve the guest in a buffet line. So you will have people serving you if you go through a buffet line on Royal Caribbean. So you have to determine if that's going to make you feel good or not. But that's something that they're offering. Norwegian and Carnival. Carnival hasn't really mentioned it much, but Norwegian has kind of noted that they're probably going to do away with the buffets, which is fine with me. One thing, too, blessings and adversity again. When you go through buffet, you get more. You get more food. You gain those 7 pounds on average per cruise, and therefore you get fat. But when you go a la carte, where you have to sit down and order your food, and that doesn't say that you can't order multiple plates, because you can, you tend to eat less. So that's an option. So Norwegian Cruise Line is offering the Ultimate Freedom and Flexibility Program. They're saying book today, change as needed with their policy. For all cruises through September 30th, you can cancel up to 48 hours before your vacation date and receive 100% future cruise credit. For all cruises October 1st and beyond, cancel up to 120 days before your vacation date and receive a full refund. And let me just say, because we've canceled some folks with Norwegian and Celebrity here recently, and I will say that they've been very good about getting the refunds back to people. They have said that it was going to take up to 90 days to get your refund if you chose to take your refund as opposed to a future cruise credit. And it has not taken 90 days. They have received their funding funds back as they have asked for it. And for those of us that book future cruise credit, when we booked our future cruise, they gave us 125%. Plus, they're offering all kinds of discounts if you go ahead and book a future cruise right now, so that they can see what's going on and how their cruises look. Looks like 2021 is already to a start. People that like to cruise want to get back on the water. People that like to go on vacation, that take vacations every year, want to go on vacations. And so we like to have things to look forward to. I like to have a vacation on the books. It gives me something to look forward to. It gives me something that excites me. And I have vacation countdown on my phone. It tells me how many weeks or months I have. And, you know, if you don't have anything to look forward to, it can be very depressing right now, because all you're doing is watching the news, finding out how many people are dying or getting sick, and you don't know if you're going to go back to work. You just don't know. But you have to look forward, people, and be positive. Norwegian Cruise Line is opening up bookings for voyages in 2022 and 23 to some of the company's most exotic destinations ever. So not only are the cruise lines expecting to come back on board, but they are also expecting to open up some new ports that they have never done. Norwegian is going to be going to Cape Town, South Africa in the winter of 21-22, and new itineraries in Asia for 22-23. So they're already looking way, way, way ahead. So what cruise destinations are people booking for 21 and beyond? Well, American travelers with destinations like Caribbean, of course, because it's close, Alaska, and even domestic river cruises and small ship coastal cruising are seeing an increase for 2021. Other destinations are Canada and New England for the fall foliage, Mexican Riviera, Hawaii, and full and partial transits of the Panama Canal, many of which depart from U.S. based home ports. That means they're local, close, and a lot of people can drive to those ports, or it's just a short flight. UK cruisers are looking forward to the Caribbean, Alaska, and close to home ports as well, and their home port sales are selling out of Southampton, Dover, Portsmouth, and Liverpool, as well as some others. I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about information you should know about travel insurance. And just let me mention before I go to break, the cruise lines have extended their suspension to July 31st, 2020 so far. The CDC has put a sail halt on cruise lines leaving U.S. flag cruise companies, as well as those that leave from U.S. ports. So there, as of right now, it is through July 31st, 2020, and people are looking to go back on the water sometime in August if things open up like they're supposed to, as they're expecting to. And things are going to be totally different on the ships. A couple of things that they're going to do is they're going to make sure that all your paperwork is done before you get on the ship. And they're going to do as much as they can so that you're no longer lined up in the port waiting to get on board. They're going to touch you and see less of you and have fewer people in the areas where you go to get on board. And they probably will make it so that they give you a time that you're supposed to show up at port, and you may not be allowed to go prior to those that time period or that time frame that they are telling you to come. So be prepared for that. I'm okay with that. The big deal is people that are frequent sailors on particular ships, and you're part of their frequent customer programs. Those people are probably going to be able to have the earlier times to get on board, which is no big deal. I'm kind of looking forward to that. And you're going to have to wear a mask initially, at least while you're in common areas. And here's my take on it. This is my take, because people are saying, I can't believe you booked a cruise for November already. You're going to feel safe enough to go back. Those first few cruises that go anywhere from anywhere are going to be the cleanest opportunities that you'll ever have on a cruise ship, because the cruise lines know that if anybody gets sick, then the industry is going to go to the wayside. So it's going to be so clean, and they're going to be so behind us to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do, and the employees on the ships are doing what they're supposed to do to make those first few months of cruising spotless. That there's no better time to go. I mean, the first ones are going to be the best, and as this goes away and people become more comfortable, we'll become more lax on the requirements, and then life will go on as the new normal will be in cruising. So with that, I'm leaving cruising, and I'm going to take a quick break. This is Karen Duncan, your bucket list buster, and when we come back, we're going to talk about travel insurance and how the TSA is adding some new guidelines for you when you're flying. This is Karen, and I'll talk to you in a minute. Well, people, I love a wonderful smell. I love perfumes. I love roses. I love essential oils. I like to have wonderful smells around me at all times. And one of my new loves is Osme. It's the new destination perfumery for all fragrance lovers in South Florida and beyond. Their vision is not to just sell perfumes, but to promote new thinking and create followers of niche perfumery. Morris Locke, who is the owner of Osme, helped me in December find my new love language. My liquid love language is what I call it. And Maurice is at 786-409-4732. He has a very small boutique perfumery in Miami. And I'm sure if you give him a call, he will tell you what his hours are and how he's meeting and greeting his customers to help you find your love language, your new liquid love language. And maybe you have a new, a wonderful event coming up, like a birthday or an anniversary for your loved one. This is the perfect way to customize something specifically for them or for yourself. If you just want to feel good, do something for yourself right now. We all need some new love. Contact Maurice Locke at Osme Perfumery in Florida. He would be happy to help you find the best fragrance for yourself. Welcome back to your Bucket List Buster. Karen Duncan here to tell you about what's going on in the travel industry amidst all the COVID-19 craziness that we're living with. So, information you should know. I've always been an advocate of travel insurance, travel protection. If you're going to invest your hard-earned dollars, and especially moving forward because those dollars are harder to come by, and we just need to protect our investments. Travel insurance is important for you to have for a lot of reasons. Pre-COVID-19, travel insurance was important to protect your investment. And if you're traveling internationally, it provides medical coverage for you if you're traveling abroad, because most health insurance policies, especially in the United States, does not cover you when you're traveling internationally. Plus, if you miss your flight, if you lose your luggage, if you need to go to the hospital, just all kinds of things can happen when you're on vacation. And having that peace of mind of having travel insurance is something I highly recommend. Now, because of COVID-19, 36% of Americans plan to take domestic leisure trips first in the first 6 months. And many are likely to take a road trip, with 68% of U.S. travelers indicating that they feel safest traveling by personal vehicle. So how is that important with travel insurance? Well, what happens if you're traveling out of state? However, Alliance, which is one of the main travel protection companies available to those in the United States, is currently accommodating claims for emergency medical care for policyholders who become ill with COVID-19 on their trip, as well as trip cancellation and trip interruption in the event that a customer contracts COVID-19 before or during their trip. For Americans that are planning road trips this summer, a great way to be covered and save money is to consider a product that covers trip cancellations and trip interruptions, but doesn't include coverage for medical emergencies, as health insurance policies will cover you domestically if you're hurt or you become ill. Insurance providers are also giving customers more flexibility. Alliance is allowing travelers to move the dates and their policy to match a rebooked date taking place within 770 days of the day they purchased their policy, and temporarily allowing customers to cancel their policy if their travel supplier cancels their trip due to COVID-19. So that's a big deal. If you are canceling your trip and you've made some payments, there are a lot of times where you get the best deal if you do a pay in advance, no refundable deal for hotels, air, all of that. What happens in this particular case? Most of our suppliers are out there being very flexible with people and letting them cancel, or you have to rebook, or they're giving you a credit. But some are not, and so you want to make sure that you're covered, and that's one of the advantages of having travel insurance. Even in post-pandemic world, protecting your investment will be a paramount, given unforeseeable nature of travel and the countless variables that can potentially derail your experience. So, as we know, travel can be unpredictable, and you want to make sure that you cover. For more news and information about travel insurance providers, you can contact me at yourbucketlistbuster@gmail.com, or go to peakscruisestours.com, and you can find more information about travel protection, and that's PEEKS cruisestours.com. So the TSA, which is the transportation agency that does security at the airports in the United States, you can expect some changes going forward. You will be asked to scan your own boarding passes. You will be asked to separate your food for x-ray screening purposes. Pack carefully to avoid slowing down screening process. So keep that in mind. If you are taking a carry-on, you will want to make sure that you pack things so that if you have to take your computer out or liquids or whatever it is, you can do that rather quickly because the lines are going to take longer. That's the other thing. You want to get to the airport earlier than usual so that you have sufficient time. To me, it's better to have more time than you need and be sitting at the airport bored than to be stressed out trying to get to your gate and get on the plane before it leaves you, especially with all of this that's going on, because right now it's day to day. We're uncertain about what's going on. So just note that the TSA screenings are probably going to be slower. The screening process, they're going to be practicing social distancing, and you will have to wear facial protection up until you get to the screening. They may ask you to lower your mask. So just be ready to accommodate some of those things. Airline passengers who have not flown since the pandemic will also likely notice some other changes like reduced security lanes, some TSA agents wearing eye protection, plastic shielding at document checking podiums, and routine disinfecting of frequently touched surfaces. So let's talk about some of the destinations that you may be traveling to or want to be traveling to. Just get an idea of what's going on around the world and what some of the destinations are doing. I thought this was pretty interesting. Japan is offering tourists a subsidy plan. It's not marketing and advertising campaign. It's the money that will help you offset the cost as a tourist by offering a subsidized half of your travel expenses. They estimate the cost at $12.5 billion, but have offered few other details about the program other than to say it could start as soon as July. So right, Japan is going to be incentivizing you by paying a portion of your vacation to get you to come to Japan. And for some, that's a fantastic opportunity. If you're unafraid, I say go for it. Japan is a fantastic destination. I didn't see as much of it as I wanted to when I was there last year, but it's beautiful, and they are extremely clean anyway. That was probably the cleanest place I've ever been in my life, and that was before the pandemic. So imagine what it's going to be like now. But I would, take it for what it's worth. Dominican Republic hotels and beaches could begin reopening as soon as June the 17th. The initial phase of de-escalation began on Wednesday, with the second phase scheduled to take place June the 3rd, allowing officials at least 14 days to measure the effect of easing restrictions. Social distancing and face covering requirements remain in effect to slow the spread. Earlier this month, Delta Airlines announced plans to resume several major routes between the U.S. and Caribbean, including the Dominican Republic, in June. Dominican Republic has been the hardest hit destination, just so you know, in the Caribbean, and reported 13,650 confirmed cases with 448 deaths as of last Friday morning. Greece is reopening to tourists. They will be opening beginning June the 15th, with the opening of seasonal hotels and arrival of first foreign visitors, while international flights will begin heading directly for holiday destinations gradually as of July 1st. And they are going to ask you, those arriving will be subject to mandatory quarantine or blanket testing of all arrivals. So in most of the destinations that are going to be opening up, this is kind of the situation. You get a chance to be tested once you arrive, or you have to agree to a 14-day mandatory quarantine. So in Greece, they have had 166 dead and total confirmed cases 2,850 in the country of 11 million people. So they're doing pretty well. Bahamas is targeting July 1st to resume international travel. They're entering phase 2 with the 5th and final stage allowing it to resume international travel and tourism operations. The administration has relaxed restrictions on more family islands, permitting the resumption of commercial activity on Cat Island, Long Island, Abaco, and Andros. However, Exuma, San Salvador, and Lurithra are still waiting for the green light. Mexico announced it's going to do a multi-phase plan starting this week, and the Riviera Maya Times tourism advisor said that the reopening process would include new health and safety guidelines for all destinations and increase flight service to attract more visitors. So they're wanting you to come to Mexico, folks. So they will outline what is permitted for travelers, domestic arrivals, and first focus on international when restrictions from the United States and other nations are lifted. St. Kitts and Nevis prepare to welcome tourists post-pandemic. The last country in the Americas to confirm a case of the virus, St. Kitts and Nevis was also among the first to report that all 15 persons who tested positive were fully recovered, along with 0 deaths on May 18, 2020. That's fantastic. That's amazing. Now been more than a month since a new case was reported, and the government has begun relaxing restrictions to restart the economy and allow people more freedom in movement. St. Lucia is to begin reopening its tourism June 4th. Iceland has said it will reopen borders to foreign tourists on June 15th, though there's a catch. Visitors will either have to agree to be tested or self-quarantine for 2 weeks. However, as mentioned above, one condition of admission is that visitors must either be tested or be quarantined. However, citizens of countries that provide government records documenting a clean bill of health can opt to submit those papers instead. I think that's a great idea. If you want to get tested before you leave home, do that, and then you won't have to be tested once you hit the destination that you're traveling to. Although some countries will require that they want to see for themselves that you've been tested and they trust their own people. So Canada is not going to be opening until June 23rd. Aruba will reopen its borders between June 15th and July 1st, according to the Aruba Tourism Authority. Jamaica is opening June 1st, so that's coming up, guys. Puerto Rico is already allowing incoming commercial flights that have been diverted, where incoming guests must undergo a health screening upon arrival, including a brief interview, temperature check. Once admitted, all passengers are required to self-quarantine for 14 days, regardless of whether they are symptomatic. So that's Puerto Rico. U.S. Virgin Islands, hopefully by June 1st, who has said they've been working on a rollout plan with the Departments of Tourism, Health, and other groups. Spain, on Saturday, the Prime Minister announced that the country would be open to international tourism starting in July. Australia, come on Australia, I'm coming to see you in November, so they will not be open for at least another 3 months, according to the April 23rd statement by the country's chief medical officer. The only mention of international travel is coming in the final stage when the country will consider and allowing in other Pacific Islanders and international students. Those are the destinations I have information on for this week, and of course I could have researched and gone on and on and on. Each time I do a podcast, I will give you more information as I receive it. And I'm going to try and do this so that I'm not doing hour and a half long shows. But I do want to give you information so that you know what's going on around the world. So road trips and staycations with RVs seem like that's going to be the big market share. It's already reporting a 650% rise in the United States for campgrounds and stuff. People want to travel. Oh my God. And we've all been stuck in our houses. I haven't even begun to tell you what we're doing here in Panama yet. But people are stuck in their houses, so people are trying to figure out a way that they can get out and explore. And RVs would be a cool way to do it, but just expect some changes at the campgrounds. Expect bathhouse restrictions, beefed up for cleaning protocols. Picnic tables and seating areas may be removed to discourage guests from congregating, along with other changes. Campgrounds will offer more individual activities for guests and adopt virtual check-ins. International travel bans and border closures are likely to remain in place for several months, with many countries discouraging summer travel specifically, because that's when the time that most people are traveling because schools are out. So that's when the large number of people are traveling. So a lot of countries are just going to keep their borders closed until after the summer months, and then they'll see how things go. North American borders are to stay closed. The Trump administration extends border closures to Canada, Mexico until June 22nd. So those are the destinations, and that's what's happening around the world in terms of travel and tourism coming up. I'm going to take another quick break, and then I'm going to tell you what's going on with us here in Panama and what I've been doing to make myself happy and to keep on moving. This is Karen Duncan, your bucket list buster. I'll be back in a minute.
Your Bucket List Buster is sponsored by Peaks Cruises and Tours. PeaksCruisesTours.com.
Welcome back to your Bucket List Buster. Karen Duncan here, your host, and we are talking about what's going on in the world, in the travel world, that is, with COVID-19. So what's happening with me? So, I'm in Panama. I love Panama. Love you, Panama, so much. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here. I keep saying that because I'm so grateful. That's the one thing that I have learned through this process is every morning before I get out of bed, I think about what I'm grateful for in advance, because that makes for a more positive day. Because if you really think about it, I've lost my business for the most part, but it's not done. It's not. I don't feel like Peaks Cruises and Tours is never coming back. That's the one thing. I don't feel like your bucket list buster is never coming back. If nothing else, this is the time to sit down and write your bucket list, because it's super important for you to have something to look forward to. I talked about that earlier in the show. Write down your bucket list. It's so important now for us to have a bucket list and think about how we're going to get to those places and spaces after our new normal has been reestablished. But what we're doing here in Panama, since the middle of March, actually, we've been on pretty severe restrictions when you consider what the United States is actually doing. So men get to go out shopping in a 2-hour window on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Women get to go out Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And the 2-hour time frame is based on the last digit of your passport or your Panamanian ID. So I haven't been out on a date with my husband, lunch date, shopping date, any kind of date outside of this house since the end of March, probably. And it's kind of different because we used to do all our shopping together. When you become an expat, it's those little things. I don't work a 9-to-5 job, and my husband's retired, and And we kind of, spent our time together, and that was one of the things that we like to do. We'd go shopping, and we'd go out and have lunch or go have dinner or something like that. So we haven't had a chance to do that, and I really do miss that. I miss that piece. The other thing about that is that means we're cooking every day, and I like to cook, but I don't like to cook. I don't like having to cook every meal every day. So there are some restaurants here that have been delivering or that we can do pickup, and we've done that a couple times. And we want to make sure that we support, if there is a restaurant or business that's open that you can deliver your food or you can pick up from here in Panama, please, let's support these. Let's support as many of the small businesses, period, as you can, so that they remain open. We want to be able to have choices after all of this is said and done. Also, here in Panama, we went through a no liquor purchase or consumption time period. Now, I thought my husband was going to lose his mind during that particular time frame. That one was tough. The reasoning behind that is because when people are struggling financially, the country does not want you to take what money you're getting or you have to go purchase liquor. And it cuts down on spousal abuse, so they said. I think that's pretty interesting, because I would think that if a person is going to beat their spouse, not having liquor, it can be just as dangerous as having the liquor. So I don't know what the statistics are behind that, because they've now implemented it so that we can get one bottle of liquor at a time. So people are, I know in the expat community, very, 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 very happy to be able to have our wine and our cocktails again. I did hear from my doctor that during the no alcohol purchase or consumption, there were a lot of people in the hospital due to alcohol withdrawal. Almost as many as what was in the hospital for COVID. One of the things that they did here in Panama, first of all, they shut down any commercial flights coming in and out of Panama. They did that right off the bat. And the majority of the people in Panama that have COVID are people that are family members of a person that initially had a light to moderate case. And they did not restrict those people to hospitals. They sent them home and told them to quarantine at home. And then, of course, their family members who were caring for them caught the virus. And that's more of how it had spread here than anything else. Out here where we live, which is about 60 miles from Panama City, we only have 2 cases that I know of, and they were very early on that they were determined 2 people had them. Of course, we don't know who they were. We are required to wear a mask at all times, anytime we go out in public. My outdoor exercise has been limited. That has probably been the hardest part for me, because Mitchell and I used to go walking all the time together in the mornings. He's still going walking. I'm not so much. I've been doing exercise programs here. I love women's workout. I'm getting some great HIIT programs, and I'm doing lots of yoga. And I'm taking a primordial sound meditation instructor course through the Deepak Chopra Center. And I'm hoping when things open up and I get my certification to be doing some meditation retreats. It has been very helpful for me because I'm an A-type personality. I love interacting with people. I like having projects. I was doing a lot of singing in restaurants and clubs around our area in Panama prior to the pandemic, and that was shut down. And so it's really hard for me as a person that likes to have things to do and seeing people to just go to doing nothing. I've always said that I probably would not be the type of person to retire and do absolutely nothing. I don't ever see myself retiring. And although I haven't been on the air with my podcast, I have been studying, I have been reading, and I have been trying to better myself and find my inspiration and make sure that coming out of this, I'm living my true life, what my purpose is, and being able to provide travel in a way that will help others. It's always been my motto for travel to help you relax, rejuvenate, and reconnect. I do believe that that's what we have to do, and this has forced us to do some of that. But it's going to be more important moving forward that you find a place of happiness and be able to dig deep into yourself and find what your purpose is in life. Your job may not be there when you get back. When we come out of this, you may have to change careers. We just don't know what the future brings because of the economics of this COVID-19. But in and through meditation, you can find a way to figure out what that next move is going to be for yourself. And so I hope to be able to, as I get more comfortable in talking about meditation and what it's done for me, and primordial sound meditation specifically, I hope to be able to share a little more with those of you that are listening to me. Deepak Chopra is hoping to get 1 billion people to meditate, because when that happens, it will change the negative energy that is happening on Earth and in our universe. It will be able to offset the negativity that's going on. And if I can do my part to get rid of some of that negativity, especially what we've got going on right now, I'm going to do what little I can. And it starts by me learning more about meditation, making my life and my world more positive, and then sharing that positivity with you guys. And so I'm going to sign off today. This is the end of your Bucket List Buster for this episode. I will be back more often with more information, more positive information, but I will keep you abreast of what's going on in the travel and tourism industry so that you know you can move around when it's safe and do the things that are comfortable for you and your family. I appreciate you listening, and I hope that you are safe and happy. Find your happy place, people. You got to find your happy place. Treat your family with love and respect, and I will talk to you next time. This is Karen Duncan, your Bucket List Buster, signing off. Namaste.